What is going on, friends, and everyone stopping by the stream? Thank you so much for being here, hanging out. We're going to be going over and we're going to be talking today about what does an Aaron Rodgers trade look like? What does an Aaron Rodgers package to bring him in look like? And kind of what does an Aaron Rodgers offseason look like for the New York Jets? Give me a second. My hair is going crazy, so let's fix that. But yeah, like I said, the conversation has to be had about what does a Aaron Rodgers package look like? What does an Aaron Rodgers trade look like? What does a mock offseason look like? So we're going to do all of that. We're going to maybe even do a mock draft to do and have those conversations. But let me start. Before we get into all of the Aaron Rodgers package, Aaron Rodgers this, Aaron Rodgers that, blah, 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 blah. Let me start by saying this. I made a video earlier today about Nathaniel Hackett and how I don't think that the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett directly relates to the fact that we want Aaron Rodgers. I think any team that needs a quarterback should want Aaron Rodgers. Don't think that they are exclusive or whatever of one another. So let me start there. But the other thing that I think I'll have to say is that I don't necessarily think that they're super. It's not a coincidence, right? I think part of the reason we got Nathaniel Hackett was because of his skill set, was because of the things that he brings, was because of the things that he does, all of that stuff. But I don't think that it was 100% because of Nathaniel Hackett. Give me 1 second, guys. Gonna get this cam real quick. Alrighty, and then we'll go back. Boom. Beautiful. And then 1 more second. Alrighty, cool. But like I said, an Aaron Rodgers offseason looks very, very weird because in the reality of the situation, we probably lose our first round pick. And so a lot of the plans have to change for the offseason. Now, the other thing that changes in this situation is the cap implications, because Aaron Rodgers is only going to be a $15 million cap hit. So a lot of people talk about, we have to take an offensive lineman in the first round. Well, if we don't have that first round pick, how do you pivot there, right? Do you think about, and do you possibly transition into saying maybe you go out and get an Orlando Brown and you do that kind of pivot and you go out and get a legit franchise left tackle, since we know that he's going to be become available. We all kind of expect that Bakhtiari, the left tackle for Green Bay, that he's going to get cut because of his injury concern and all that stuff. And do you maybe take a shot at someone like him? There are offensive linemen that are specifically at the tackle position that'll be available. But the other thing that a lot of people don't really consider, and I think this is because the offseason is so fresh and so new and people don't know all the names of the tackles and all this thing, but there is a realistic possibility that we could take a tackle in the second round, that we can take a tackle in the third round. This draft is very, very deep at tackle. It's not top heavy at all, at all. None of the guys that I've watched, and Dom C, who will be joining a little bit later, can probably attest to this. When I was doing my grades of these offensive linemen, none of them graded higher than Mekhi Becton. So, if Mekhi Becton can stay healthy, not heavy, we don't want him heavy. If he can stay healthy, again, which is a massive if, he's going to win the left tackle job. So then you have all those conversations. And the other thing is if you bring in Aaron Rodgers and you lose your first round pick in the process, do you maybe bring back George Fant healthy? I'm not necessarily a super fan of it, but that is an option that you can do. Andre Dillard is expected to hit free agency. Riley Reif is expected to hit free agency. Mike McGlinchey might hit free agency if San Francisco can't keep him around. There are guys and there are names of people that are available out there. We still don't know what Dwayne Brown is going to do. So we're going to talk about all of those things. What does that package look like, and answering your guys' questions as we go and as we're live and marching and doing all that stuff. Give me 1 second. Opening up Twitter. So, yeah, it's a very, 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 very interesting idea. It's a very interesting world that we live in when it comes to these things. And with the mock off seasons starting to build up steam and do all those things, I think it's an interesting conversation, because I think no matter what happens within the next 2 weeks, the New York Jets are going to have their newest franchise quarterback, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, whether that's Derek Carr. If those trades are going to happen, I think they're going to happen sooner rather than later. The New York Jets are not going to wait on anybody and risk losing out on everybody. And that's just smart, right? You don't wait on Aaron Rodgers till the end of June and then that trade falls through for whatever reason, and now you've missed out on Derek Carr, Jimmy G, Tom Brady, all of these, Tannehill, all of these guys that you could have possibly brought in because you were waiting on Aaron Rodgers. If you're going to do something, you're going to have something set in stone 100%. Before Carr gets cut. Jets fan 68, thank you for stopping by. Tigo, JD has a plan. He has done more for this org than any GM in 15 years, and I can't argue that at all. Joe Douglas's ability to draft has gone and been so good that this is why I feel comfortable making a trade for an Aaron Rodgers, right? I was never the biggest fan of a Lamar Jackson trade, not because of the draft compensation, but because I'm not a fan of Lamar Jackson. I don't think his skill set will translate well to New York, especially because we run a pro-style offense and something that I don't think Lamar can run. And the biggest proponent to my belief in Joe Douglas is his success rate in the middle rounds. In rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we look at his last 2 drafts and we see the guys that he's pulling out of the middle rounds and the contributions that they're making on the team immediately, you have to take into consideration that you're exactly right, Jets fan 68. He has done more for this team in the 2 drafts that he's done solo, where he didn't have Adam Gase in his ear chirping and saying, oh, I want this guy, oh, I want that guy, or any of those things, where he could finally take a stand and be, these are the guys that I want, because he's the head honcho and he's not on the same level as a horrible head coach like Adam Gase. When that happens and when you're in that situation, boom, nothing can stop him and nothing stops his ability to do any of those things, which is absolutely phenomenal. And so this is why I kind of feel comfortable going into the F them picks mode and saying, you know what, we're going to bring all of these guys on expiring deals or on the 2-year deals or on anything like that, knowing that we're not going to re-sign them and that we want them as 1 or 2-year rentals to make our team exceptionally well, knowing that the compensatory pick model is going to get us a bunch of these 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks, and we kind of just do what the LA Rams can do, and you fill out the rest of your roster with 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks. A lot of people don't know this, but like the last time the Los Angeles Rams picked in the 1st round was Jared Goff. That was in 2016. That's like 7 years ago. It's insane. But that's the last time they do it, and they've been competitive every single year, and they just went into the F them picks mode. So really love this comment. Thanks for the comment, Jets fan. Kev Chatta in the house. Did you see Romeo Doubs' interview today about how he never hung out with Rodgers off the field? Isn't that the NEC to build chemistry / mentor young wide receivers? Here's the thing, Rodgers is never going to be the guy that's going to hang out with his wide receivers outside of the building, right? That's just not what he's going to do. He's just going to expect his wide receivers to do their job and to do that stuff. And while I understand the concern there, I'm not necessarily super like, you know what? I'm not super worried about it. Let me look at this. Gotta fix Nightbot. Beautiful. Alrighty. I'm not necessarily super concerned about it because, like, they don't really have a super high level, like, players like the Jets do when you look at the positions outside of, like, the running back and things like that I don't think he necessarily needs to super coach those guys or do any of those things when it comes to that. That's not his job, right? And yes, the chemistry and all that stuff, but I think the chemistry just comes with reps and the timing of the reps. And I think the problems in Green Bay, while they were chemistry related with his wide receivers, were also partly due to the fact that they waited so long to give him his extension. If they would have given him his extension at the beginning of the year, he would have done all of the offseason work. He would have done all of that stuff. But like, you have to look at it from both sides. While Aaron Rodgers, yes, was being selfish and wanted to get a contract, a bigger contract, and do all those things, that is his prerogative. It is a business. So I'm not necessarily going to be worried about that with the Jets, because if he comes here, I think he's going to want to build up the timings and all of those things with our wide receivers, because I think at least 2 or 3 of the wide receivers that we have on our team are better than anything that Green Bay has right now. I would take Garrett Wilson over Christian Watson, who I think is probably their best wide receiver right now. Like, I would take Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and like probably Denzel Mims over all. Like, I would take all 3 of those guys over Christian Watson. So while I understand the concern, like, that's not his job, right? So, what are you going to do there? Jets fan 68, yeah, this is my concern with Rodgers. For him, it's all about him. He may not fit in with the culture that the front office is trying to create. I don't think he's going to help the culture, but I also don't think he's going to, like, actively be a detriment to it. You know what I mean? He's just kind of going to be a net neutral when it comes to the culture, because he's not going to be the guy that's going to buy in to a Robert Saleh rah-rah kind of motivational speech, but he's also not going to let it affect him negatively. He's going to go out there and he's just going to do his job. That's what he's been doing. And I think that's the way that he looks at it, is that, like, you know what? This is ultimately just my job. I don't have to be motivated to do my job. So that's my thing when I look at it in that kind of perspective. So there's that. Guys, real quick, if you haven't and you don't know, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Jets with Tigo on Twitter. I don't tweet very often, but when we go live, when a new video drops, whenever the games are going on, I like to live tweet, and I'm trying to get more active on Twitter. But if you ever want to ask me a question, if you ever want to do anything, the easiest way outside of the comment section on my video is at Jets with Tigo. The link is right there. Go hit the follow button if you haven't already. Now we're done with the shameless plug. Sean Ireland, thank you for stopping by. Rodgers gives you more of an edge. You are absolutely right. I have been breaking down Rodgers tape this year to see kind of what went wrong in Green Bay. And a lot of what went wrong wasn't Rodgers' fault. A lot of people were talking about, oh, he's lost the arm strength. Oh, he's lost the this. And I was like, he hasn't really. Even after he hurt his thumb, which was after the Jets game, he was still slinging it. And you could see that the biggest problem in Green Bay on the offensive side of the ball was, one, Matt LaFleur and his brother both are in struggle incredibly in the red zone. The play calling and the play design in the red zone are just not good. Matt LaFleur can get his players in the end zone if he's 25, 30 yards out, because he can dial up the plays, get his guys open, and get them yards after the catchability. And because Aaron Rodgers is elite, he can read and diagnose the field and get the ball to the correct guys quickly. But in the red zone, the play calling just isn't there, and you can kind of see where Nathaniel Hackett was helping with the team there. So that's one thing, but Rodgers does absolutely give you more of an edge. His mobility is still there. His arm strength is still there. His diagnosing and breaking down of like his processing speed is still there. He hasn't lost any of that. So if an Aaron Rodgers trade is going to happen, you're still getting, I don't want to say peak Aaron Rodgers, but you're still getting, like, I think 90% of what peak Aaron Rodgers is, which is still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Sean Ireland with another one. As a Packer fan, Aaron fits right in with New York. You don't give that don't give an F attitude and always shutting up the doubters. That's a great point too. One of the things that I'm going to fall in love with is all of the press conferences if Aaron Rodgers does come here, because Aaron is just not going to give a crap about what anybody says at any point in time about anything. He's just going to say like what he wants, when he wants, how he wants it, and it doesn't matter what you do, what you say, how you're going about it, because he's just going to do his job. So this is a great comment here. Guys, real quick, I am not monetized yet, and I don't have that ability yet, but if you want to leave a super chat or do anything like that, you absolutely still can with that link down there. It allows you to leave a super chat, and the fun thing is if you do leave a super chat, you get to see one of these. You get to pop up on the stream. Hopefully it works. Boom, there it should go. You get to pop up on stream. You get to stop. Jesus Christ, Streamlabs, you didn't have to do a $58 donation as an example. I was just trying to show them that they can leave a super chat, and that helps build out the channel. And we're trying to get new cameras, new lights, and do different things here. And as a stay-at-home dad, I can't do that without your guys' help. But again, we're done with the shameless plugging. Next comment, Kev Chatta. It's so Jets optic to hire a coach from a lottery team. Why not wait to interview coaches from teams still in the playoffs? Nobody was chasing Hackett. I made a video about this, Kev Chatta, where I think a lot of people are misremembering Hackett as an offensive coordinator, and they're looking at him through recency bias, which is going to sound like I'm just parroting what Robert Saleh said, but I said this before, where Hackett was my number one target. Of all of the guys that were available, Hackett was the guy that I wanted to bring in. One, because his coaching staff is going to be elite, and we've already seen the beginning of that with Keith Carter coming to the Jets to be the run game coordinator and the offensive line coach, which is probably an even bigger hire than Nathaniel Hackett. But two, all of the things that Nathaniel Hackett does and all of the things that Nathaniel Hackett does well fits with this team at an insanely high level and is kind of the opposite of what Mike LaFleur is. And so I made a video about that. If you want to see like my full super drawn out thoughts about it, you can go watch that video. But just a real quick overview about it. One, Nathaniel Hackett is a run first offensive coordinator. You're going to see Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Ty Johnson, James Robinson, Bam Knight, all of these guys get a piece of the puzzle, get handoffs, and have massive seasons. I would not be surprised to see us have more than one rusher with over 1,000 rushing yards. Number two, the more information that comes out of Denver from his time in Denver is painting a light that Denver is dysfunctional, wasn't dysfunctional because of Nathaniel Hackett, but was dysfunctional from the top down, from ownership to the front office and everything like that. They made a bunch of bad bets. They were impossible to work with, and they weren't helping or doing anything to help Nathaniel Hackett get his job done. Actually, they were doing the opposite by getting rid of players that would possibly help Nathaniel Hackett. Now, that doesn't excuse the issues that he had with like clock management, time management, situational management, and those things like that you have to handle as a head coach. But we're not asking him to call plays and to handle all of those things. We're asking him to be an offensive coordinator only. So all of the responsibilities that you get as a head coach are gone. There are so many coordinators that when they elevate themselves to the head coach position, they don't do it well. The New York Jets should be super familiar with one of those, and that is Todd Bowles, in my eyes, is a top 7, top 8 defensive coordinator in the NFL when he's a coordinator. You give him the responsibilities of a head coach, he's abysmal. He's one of the worst guys in the league when it comes to that because he can't, for some reason, manage all of the responsibilities as a head coach and as a defensive coordinator, so everything falls apart around him. We've seen that in Tampa. He was handed a Super Bowl roster, and he could barely get 7 or 8 wins. Barely could do that. And so that's the situation, and that's how I look at it there because of that. It's really hard to justify or to say, you know what, this is going to work out well, this isn't going to work out well, whatever it is. So I don't blame Hackett for that. And then the last thing that I'll say about this is that Hackett created in Jacksonville, where he was calling plays and executing plays and all of those things, where when he was in Jacksonville, he was able to, one, make a bad quarterback look good and manufacture, with a bad quarterback, a top 5 offense in the NFL off of the back of his rushing attack. Does that not sound like exactly what the Jets should be doing? Using the fact that our running back room is incredibly deep and incredibly good, and creating a top 5 rushing attack that ultimately, because of that, gets all of our wide receivers opens? I'm just saying, when you have Hackett only focusing on the coordinator stuff, mismanagement and all that stuff is going to fall on Saleh, and he already does that enough. Sean Ireland, Hackett was going to get paid for sitting on the couch for the next 3 years. Why would he decide to coach again without knowing who the QB is? Connect the dots. It's not just that. Sean is making a great point here. It's not just that. Why would he risk his career coming to the New York Jets with a massive question mark at the quarterback position? It's a huge deal because Hackett, and it's not 3 years, I think it's 4 years, because I think Denver gave him a 5-year deal. He could have sat in a beach somewhere drinking mojitos and doing nothing for the next 4 years, gone to television and got paid millions of dollars. And he didn't. He came to the New York Jets less than a year removed from being fired from a head coaching position. And if we look at coordinators in the past that have done this and failed, I think the most recent example is Jay Gruden. After he got fired from the Commanders, he went and immediately became an offensive coordinator. I don't remember where he went, but he immediately became an offensive coordinator, and he failed, and he hasn't been in the league since. It's a problem when you don't work out. He wouldn't risk his entire future of his NFL career if he didn't believe, one, that he could do it, and two, in the fact that the New York Jets were going out and getting their guy. The Hackett hire is genius. Bring on AR again. It's a good move, even if we don't get Aaron Rodgers. Let's say we end up with Carr, it's still a great move. Nathaniel Hackett was the only guy that was going to come to the New York Jets, in my opinion, and make us, with the guys that were available, that had the experience in calling plays and doing all of those things at the NFL level, at a high level. Now, if getting Hackett helps us get Aaron Rodgers, I'm on board. But even if we don't, even if we end up with Carr, we're still going to have an insanely good offense next year. Head coach and OC are totally different jobs. Absolutely. We already have Saleh to mismanage the clock, so Hackett doesn't have to worry about that anymore. Absolutely. Kev Chatta, the last time someone failed miserably and got a job immediately I can only think of was Adam Gase. My gut says it's not going to end well. Well, Adam Gase went from failing miserably as a head coach to failing miserably as a head coach again, right? And Hackett was never going to get another head coaching job that quickly after 1 year of being fired in Denver. But like I said, the example that I used was Jay Gruden. Let me find out where he went to exactly. Jay Gruden, he was the Washington head coach of the Redskins at the time, right? He was there for 5 years. He gets fired in 2019. He goes to 2020 as the offensive coordinator. Boom. The Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely fall apart, fail, can't figure out anything, can't manage to do anything. They can't get anything going for them. Done. He's fired, and he's been out of the NFL ever since, and last year was his first opportunity to come back. He came back with the Rams as a consultant, as an offensive consultant. So like I said, if you're looking at specifically that kind of path, Jay Gruden is the most recent opinion. But the other thing is that, like, Adam Gase should have never gotten the job. Adam Gase was a Christopher Johnson hire, right? And it was McCagnon who failed this team immeasurably. And then he gets given the opportunity to bring in a head coach with Chris, who didn't do a good enough job of vetting his guys, and boom, who did he take? He took Adam Gase. And here's the thing, whether or not you want to talk about Adam Gase and his failures on the field, one thing that I always took away from Adam Gase was that he sounded incredibly intelligent when he was talking X's and O's. And that's what probably wooed a guy like, those Nightbot messages are coming a little bit too often. Let me adjust those things. Every 15 minutes, every 12 minutes, every 10 minutes, and every 10 minutes. Beautiful. Didn't think they would happen this quickly. Sorry, guys. So it's one of those things where, you know what? I know that a lot of people are scared of that thing, but like Nathaniel Hackett, I have more confidence in him than I did in Adam Gase ever at any point in time. So there's that. So let's start talking about this trade. Let's start talking about what does this trade look like, right? So we all know that Green Bay... Oh, Kev chatted with another one. I prefer Carr, so we have a bigger window to win than with Rodgers. Rodgers will forever talk about retirement every offseason. I don't know. I don't want to take shots at Sean Ireland and his Packers, but for the last couple of years, it's kind of seemed like the door was closing in Green Bay, and he was kind of just doing that to try to get his money because like that's what you do. But Green Bay has been slowly but surely kind of getting worse, and the biggest reason for that is like one, they haven't been able to maintain the level of talent, right? And so, like, Devontae Adams leaves, which is the number one wide receiver in the NFL, and he was over 30, and that trade totally made sense. And I'm not dogging that trade, but, like, when you lose a guy like that, you're not going to replace his production. And so they try to do it through a committee. They drafted Christian Watson. They went and got Romeo Doubs. They did everything. Oh, crap. Matthew Smith, no. Nightbot, what are you doing? Oh, gosh. Excess caps. Boom. I'm cool with that. Jesus. I'm trying to figure out this Nightbot thing. Sorry, Matthew. I saw your message. What's up? And so, like, it kind of started to fall apart, and it's not fair to like Rodgers or anybody to blame that situation. The one reason I actually really like the Rodgers move over the Carr move is I don't necessarily want the bigger window. I want 3 years. I think even if we went Carr, he's here for 3 years maximum. And the reason I say 3 years is, and it kind of ties together with Zach Wilson, but it also ties together with another quarterback. And so here's what I mean. So if we get whoever these guys is, my expectation is that they're going to be here for 3 years. And so why do I want that? One, because that aligns with Zach Wilson's contract perfectly. You go under the assumption that we're going to take the 5th-year option, keeping him here. And then you go under the assumption that this guy is going to be the starter and that Zach Wilson should ultimately become the heir apparent, right? And you get to evaluate him for the next 3 years. And at the end of whoever's contract it is, let's say it's Aaron Rodgers, and he's here for the next 3 years. What ends up happening is the end of Aaron Rodgers' career as a New York Jet, boom, he goes off into the sunset. Thank you for the 2 Super Bowls, the 2 and 3. We appreciate you. Zach Wilson is going to be at a point to where Robert Saleh, Clint Kubiak, who will be our offensive coordinator at that time because Nathaniel Hackett would have gotten another head coaching job because he won back-to-back Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. I'm just speaking all of this into existence, by the way. Is going to have a perfect evaluation of what Zach Wilson is and if he's ready to take over for the Jets as the quarterback of the future. Now, we have 2 branching trees and storylines here. One, what happens if Zach is the dude? Staying and playing under Aaron Rodgers, staying and playing under Derek Carr for the past 3 years, learning, developing, and boom, he blows up onto the scene and he's the top 10 quarterback that we all thought he had the potential to be. Fantastic. Your number 2 overall pick from 5 years ago at this point didn't pan out early, but panned out late. You have your franchise quarterback. You don't have to worry about it. Well, what happens if he isn't the guy? Then you build a San Francisco-like package that year of the draft, the year that Aaron Rodgers retires, or the year that you let Derek Carr walk. You trade up to the number 1 spot, and you go get Arch Manning, and the New York Jets finally get the Manning brother that they were robbed before. So in either situation, it works out. And that's why whoever I want for 3 years at max. Now, I understand the concern that you're getting him for 1 year and that he's a 1-year rental and that he might retire or something along those lines. But if that's the case, again, I think Aaron Rodgers comes here and we immediately become Super Bowl favorites in the AFC, going up there with Kansas City and Buffalo. So, I don't know. We'll see. Go ahead, take your shots. Sorry, Sean. It wasn't me trying to take your shots. Matthew Smith's Rodgers or bust. Look, I get that sentiment. I love Rodgers. I don't think it's Rodgers or bust. I love Rodgers, and I think that he's going to do great things if he does come to the New York Jets, but I'm also cool if Carr is the guy. Nightbot is distracted with the Hackett signing. Absolutely. Steve, Jets aren't picking up Zach's 5th year unless he plays this year and becomes the guy. I don't think that's true because you can pick his 5th year option, and as long as he doesn't get hurt, you can cut it because it's not fully guaranteed or anything like that. And so, like I said, the timing just works out. You can pick up a 5th year option on a player like a quarterback or whatever and have him be the backup because it won't be. Because the year the 5th year option kicks in is also going to be the year the cap explodes, and you're going to have more money than ever to have a backup quarterback at $15 million or $10 million or whatever his contract is going to be, where you won't have to worry about it. Now, I'm not saying that's what they do, but if the idea of bringing on a guy is to truly develop Zach, you do that for the next 3 years, or you do it for the next 2 years and you run him on his 5th year option, and you see, is this guy the guy? Either way, in 3 years from now, just draft Arch Manning, right? And there you go. We finally get our Manning. Hackett has no track record developing rookie QBs. He was brought in to lure Rodgers rather than develop Zach Wilson. It's not about developing rookie QBs. It's about turning bad QBs into NFL-level QBs, which is exactly what he did in Jacksonville by taking a bad NFL quarterback in Blake Bortles and still somehow manufacturing a top 5 offense in the NFL off of the back of the run game and doing all of those things. So it's not about a track record of developing rookie QBs. Very few coordinators can get the opportunity to develop a rookie QB. It's not something that very many teams do very often. So I'm not necessarily worried about him developing a rookie QB. I'm more looking at it as dude, he made Blake Bortles, who we all know after they separated looked like absolutely abysmal. He couldn't get anything done at the NFL level, but he made him look like an NFL level quarterback. Exactly what Matt Smith is saying here. Hackett made Blake Bortles poor man's Eli Manning. Exactly. And Eli Manning won 2 rings, and he still probably won't make the Hall of Fame. That's the point, right? Is the fact that no matter what is going on, no matter the situation, Zach's no longer a rookie. He's in his 3rd year. He's just a bad quarterback. So now you have to develop a bad quarterback, which is what Nathaniel Hackett has a track record of being able to do, or not develop, but at least cover up the mistakes and the problems. Billy SBC in the house. The Rodgers option gives you a Super Bowl contender team right now with a future starting QB in the pipeline. This way, you don't have to draft a QB in any round for the next 2 to 3 years. Exactly. And this was actually the point that I was making, Billy SVC, was the fact that if you get Rodgers, and let's say he plays for the next 3 years, you can have Zach sit there, you can take his 5th year option, you can do all of those things, and secretly and just internally develop and evaluate him. Because at the end of the 3 years, you find out, is he the guy that's going to take over? Is he going to be our Aaron Rodgers? And is Aaron Rodgers going to be our Brett Favre, in the sense of he comes in, he does his things, he leaves and retires, walks off to the sunset, goes to wherever he wants, does whatever he wants to do, whatever it is, and then he comes in. Can he do that for us? And if he can, and if he does, Boom. Easy breezy, beautiful cover, girl. You do it. You run it with Zach if he's the guy. And if not, you create a San Francisco 49ers-like package, and you go and trade up for the number one prospect in whatever draft that is. And that's what I keep making the joke that you run Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, and then you go draft Arch Manning, and we finally get our Manning to come to New York because we missed out on Peyton because he went back to school. Right? And instead of the guys in blue getting a Manning, the guys in green can get a Manning, and we can keep a Manning in New York. And it makes a ton of sense if you do it that way. Italy Jet, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the live stream. Haven't seen you here before. Guys, if you are unaware, Italy Jet is another New York Jets YouTuber. Great channel. He does a live stream that I tune into every week. I think it's on Tuesdays. I don't remember. Where it's him, Gunny, and then I always butcher his name. It's DKBX Jets, right? They do a great live show, a lot of conversation, a lot of good topics that they talk about. Great channel. If you aren't aware, Italy Jet, look it up. Go hit the subscribe button. Guy is awesome. Welcome to the show. But absolutely. So let's talk trade packages. What do you guys think it will take to get Aaron Rodgers in New York? I think at minimum, the conversation starts with the number 13 pick. At minimum. That might be the whole package. Hey, you trade this year's first round pick for Aaron Rodgers, boom. That might be it. But what does the package look like for Aaron Rodgers? And what do you think is too much? What would you accept? What would Green Bay accept? And why? Billy SBC, Rodgers will bring Zach along, and he'll be a friend to Zach. He'll be sort of a QB coach as well. Absolutely. First and a third, I was thinking that too. I thought that you probably look at it and you go, it's a first and a fourth. This year's first, next year's fourth round pick. That fourth round pick turns into a third round pick if he plays next year. If we make the playoffs, that third round pick turns into a second round pick. And if we do the thing and we make the Super Bowl, that second round pick turns into a first round pick. And I think that that's a great package. It's a first and a fourth to get Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. That's totally fine with me. They get 13. I'm cool with that. And then you say, awesome, fantastic, great, and then it can turn into a third, a second, or a first. And if it turns into a first, we're in the Super Bowl. I don't care about that first. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Getting Carr allows us to get a starting offensive tackle on a rookie deal. Any offensive tackle after first round is less likely to start the season. Not in this draft, Kev. One of the things that I'm kind of proud on is my ability to evaluate players. I think I do it relatively well. I'm very sad that I didn't have my channel during last year's draft, but I have friends and all of those things, and I was talking highly of players and doing all these things, and a lot of those guys panned out, especially the later round tackles that I was really a fan of. One of those guys being Max Mitchell. I was a big proponent of Max Mitchell. If you look at my channel, after we drafted him, I made a video just loving on Max Mitchell and saying that Max Mitchell should start over George Fant, and he's going to be the reason we don't bring back George Fant. And all of those things. And in this year's class, none of the offensive tackles in the first round, the guys that might be available at 13, grade higher than Mekhi Becton or Elijah Vera Tucker at tackle. So if you go into next year, and again, this is a massive if, but if Mekhi Becton can stay healthy, which he hasn't done yet, and you don't bank on that, none of the guys that you draft at 13 are going to beat out Mekhi Becton for that left tackle spot. None of them, even at their best, because Mekhi Becton is far better than what they are coming out of college right now. So any of the guys that you draft would have to transfer over to the right side. Well, here's the problem. Outside of Peter Skoronski, none of those guys have played on the right side. No, Broderick Jones has played on the right side. But none of those guys are going to grade higher at the right tackle spot than Elijah Vera Tucker. So boom, you have both of your tackle spots filled in Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker if they're both healthy. So what happens with the guy that you just drafted in the first round? This is why, for me, if we keep 13, it is Peter Skoronski or bust. Because Peter Skoronski has played at the college level all 5 offensive line positions. He's played left tackle, left guard, right guard, and he was brought into Northwestern as a center. So he can literally fill in any spot on your offensive line. So while I understand that getting Carr lets you do that, you also have to remember that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a $15 million cap hit. So you can just go out and sign a veteran left tackle or tackle option that you know is going to work at the next level. So there you go. That's why I'm not necessarily worried about that. Joe Douglas will somehow not give up this year's first. He'll give up next year's first, which is likely to be a 25 or lower pick in 2024. Here's the thing. While I understand this sentiment, Green Bay won't accept that. Green Bay won't take... They want 13. If they trade away Rodgers, they're going to trade away Rodgers. They're going to cut back Tiari. They're going to slam the door on their playoff window short term, and they're going to try to accumulate as many assets quickly. And why would you take the 25th pick next year, which is essentially a second round pick, when you can have the 13th pick this year? And especially when you know that the New York Jets are kind of desperate for a quarterback. While Aaron Rodgers totally controls where he goes and what he wants to do, Green Bay still has leverage because they can just let him retire and not trade him as if they don't get the package that they want. So this is where I'm super interested to see what's going to happen, because if he trades it and it's not for something like that, it's one of those things, right? Rodgers seems like he'll be exactly like Favre, not helping QB that replaces him. Here's the difference, right? Those are different situations, Kev, remember? Because Aaron Rodgers was drafted to replace Brett Favre. That's a different dynamic. When you come to a team at the end of your career and you know that your replacement is already there, you knew that coming into it. And we have to remember that Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson already have a relationship with one another now. They text, they call, they do those things regularly. And that's where the difference is. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers didn't like each other because Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be Brett Favre's replacement. Brett Favre didn't want to lose out his job yet, and so they butted heads. It's the same reason why I think Aaron Rodgers didn't do the things with Jordan Love. Why are you going to trade up into the first round or whatever it is and draft Jordan Love to replace me when I'm the best quarterback in the NFL in my eyes, and then I go on to get back-to-back MVPs to prove you wrong even more? And so it's a different situation, but I do get that. But the relationship that Zach and Aaron have is a really, really good one. They talk weekly, and they text, and they call, and they do those things. So that's where I think it'll be a little bit different. JSN or bust, Jackson Smith-Njigba is who I'm thinking you're referring to, and absolutely not. I don't want a first-round wide receiver. One, because at 13, JSN isn't even the best wide receiver in this class. The TCU kid is going to be. Number two, Jackson Smith-Njigba is hurt, and so you're not going to draft a guy who's hurt. And number three, at the next level, he's just going to be a slot wide receiver. And unless we end up trading Elijah Moore, and I don't see why we would do that, he just doesn't fit the roster. Even it just doesn't make sense going and getting JSN. If you're going to draft a wide receiver at 13, you're going to replace Corey Davis, and that's why you're going to get the Johnston kid, just because he's huge and he's fast, and he's kind of just a better Denzel Mims kind of a thing. So there's that. Appreciate the shout out. The New York Jets are only a few pieces away. I think will be very good. I agree. I'd keep AVT as a guard so he doesn't have to exert himself too much as he gains playing strength. I agree with you, Kev. I like AVT at guard. That's my preferred spot for him. But the point I was trying to make wasn't that I want AVT to play right tackle. It's the fact that these guys that are available in the first round won't grade better than AVT at tackle. And if you're AVT, you're going to push to play tackle because tackles get paid more in the NFL than guards do. So that is a conversation to have there. João Victor, I don't know how to say that one. Domingos, do you think Rodgers makes us instant contenders? I think we should instantly become top 10, not even top 5 to make the Super Bowl out of the AFC. What teams are going to be contenders next year in the AFC? Let's just go through the list, right? Kansas City and the Bengals. Let's just put those because they're in the AFC Championship, right? They're going to be competitive. They're going to continue to be competitive. Let's put Buffalo there because you just got to respect Buffalo and their game. And then what other teams, if we have an Aaron Rodgers-led New York Jets, what teams in the AFC are really going to be better than the Jets with Aaron Rodgers? Because I think we're probably number 4, and we're only number 4 because of the fact that it's a new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator. Even though that they're familiar, it's a new system in a new city that they're not from, right? So that's the whole point. right, is like what teams are going to objectively be better than the New York Jets with all of the offensive weapons that we have and a top 5 defense. Like the Bills are the only team that are going to have a top 10 defense next year. Well, not even, because they might lose Tremaine Edmonds and Jordan Poyer, and those are massive, massive pieces to that defense. It's one of those things where I think we should immediately become number 3 as the top 3rd contender, and that's only because you have to put some respect on the Kansas City Chiefs and you have to put some respect on the Bengals, but I think we can take it to them any Sunday because our defense is that elite and our offense is going to be elite with Aaron Rodgers. So absolutely, I think we immediately come to the top 3, probably tied favorites to win the AFC East. That's a conversation that you really have to have. Billy SBC, I don't know, but Joe Douglas is really good at this negotiating thing. Somehow he'll have the Jets coming out on top in this Green Bay trade. I think any trade where you give up anything, if you give up only one first-round pick, is a win, right? And so I think you're totally right. Joe Douglas is going to figure out a way to fleece the Green Bay Packers, and they're just going to become the next victim. How have teams not learned that when Joe Douglas calls, you hang up the phone? That's just how it works. You don't answer the guy, right? Rodgers is friends with Zach because he wants his mom's number. Isn't it the other way around? Wouldn't Zach be friends with Zach? So Zach be friends with Rodgers because he wants Rodgers' mom's number? I get what you're saying, but I'm just trying to make a joke. Do you think Rodgers makes us instant contenders? I think I answered this already. Or vice versa. Billy making the joke for me. Didn't even have to wait. I didn't know Mims was 6'3". Jesus. Aaron would absolutely love that kid. Dude, he's huge. He's 6'3", and he runs a sub 4.4, Sean. Sub 4.4. How? How did Mike LaFleur not figure out how to use this guy at an NFL level? It's insane. It's insane. Imagine if the Packers used the pick on T. Higgins instead of Jordan Love. Bro, imagine. Aaron Rodgers doesn't threaten to retire, doesn't do anything like that. Like, there's so many. I went back, and I might do a series of, like, grading or going back through the first rounds over the last couple of years and seeing how teams did and how those guys panned out and all of those things. But, man, it's insane. It's insane. So, like, how do you take Jordan Love? And here's the best part, is he just goes on to win 2 back-to-back MVPs after that. Like, how do you just... That's crazy. Maybe the Ravens, some guy... You know I love you. Thank you for stopping by. I don't agree. I don't think the Ravens are a good football team. I think that they're a system team and with Greg Roman gone, that team is going to go downhill even more because they're going to bring someone to run a pro-style offense, and I don't think Lamar Jackson can run a pro-style offense at the next level. They don't have the wide receivers. The wide receivers aren't going to want to come to the Ravens because they know they don't get production. And who's the offensive coordinator that's going to go to the Ravens and improve their system that much? We, as the New York Jets, we know how thin this offensive coordinator class is. There aren't a lot of guys, so they're going to have to take a risk on probably someone out of the Eagles franchise, which don't have experience calling plays at the next level, and we don't know what those guys are. Question marks. Now, I'm not saying that they can't be good. What I'm saying is that we don't know if they're good, and with Lamar Jackson's limitations at the next level, we know that at the NFL level as a quarterback, we know that anyone's coming to the Ravens is going to be hamstrung by that situation. So there you go. João, if we get Rodgers, I think Zach has a real shot at becoming a good caliber quarterback. Absolutely. And if not, by the end of Aaron Rodgers' time in New York, Zach Wilson isn't the dude. You make San Francisco 49ers-like package where they went up and got Trey Lance. You just don't get Trey Lance. You go get a guy who's actually an NFL quarterback. And if it was me, I'd love for it to be Arch Manning. Kev Chowda, do you think Carr can excel with Hackett? Absolutely. I definitely think that if we don't go and get Aaron Rodgers, I think at this point in time, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to know if we're going to have to buy 12 Rodgers jerseys or if we're going to have to buy 4 Carr jerseys. I think you know that for sure within the next 2.5 weeks. The New York Jets aren't going to wait around to make that decision. If the Packers say, oh, we want to wait to trade Aaron Rodgers, the Jets aren't going to wait. They're going to go out and Derek Carr because you can't be caught in a situation where you're waiting on Rodgers and you're waiting on Rodgers and you're waiting on Rodgers and you're waiting on Rodgers, and then that trade doesn't happen and all of the guys are gone, right? So I absolutely think that Carr can excel with Hackett at the next level. If we look at the offensive schemes that Derek Carr succeeded with the most at his time in Oakland and Vegas, it was under the West Coast system. Those were the years where he had I think he's only had 1 or 2 years removed where he didn't throw for 4,000 yards, but he ran a West Coast system in Vegas and in Oakland under Greg Olsen and different guys like that. And he succeeded in those systems exceptionally well. He is going to be a very, very good system fit. But the biggest thing is that Hackett is a run-first offensive coordinator. So our offensive running game, especially with the hiring of Keith Carter, our new run game coordinator and offensive line coach, is going to help our team excel even more in the run game. So we're really going to be a team that's going to run the ball 30 times a game and then maybe throw it 28, 26 times a game, and that's how we're going to go about it. And we're going to take those deep shots because everybody's going to have to cheat, because are you going to be the team that gives Breece Hall another 200-yard rushing game, or are you going to be the team that's going to let Garrett Wilson catch for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns on you? You can't stop both. You're going to have to pick your poison, because we're going to have Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr under center, and they can both hit their guys consistently and accurately. So I think because of the Hackett hire, we can work with Derek Carr. We can work with, I don't want this to happen at all. But if Tannehill was the guy that we brought in, I still think that we can make it work at a high level with Tannehill, because he can still get the ball out quickly and efficiently and on time. So I think, irrelevant of the quarterback, Hackett's system is going to excel and really elevate the quarterback play, because we're not going to ask our quarterback to drop back 50 times like we did with Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur was so anal with players having to fit to a T into his scheme and not adapting. But also, he suffered from his inability to look at the game past the passing aspect of it. And that's where Mike LaFleur really struggled. So, that's the real thing, right? Is that he wanted to throw the ball 50 times a game. That's the problem. And so he was unable to, use his wide receivers, because in San Francisco, he had one of the best all-around wide receivers the NFL has ever seen in Deebo Samuel. And Deebo could do everything. So in his mind, every wide receiver had to be Deebo. You needed to know how to be a running back, a tight end, a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, a quarterback, a safety, a cornerback. You needed to play all 22 positions on the football field. And so that was Mike LaFleur's failings, but also his situational play calling in the red zone was atrocious. But we can see that that's not just a Mike LaFleur issue. That's also a Matt LaFleur issue. Their red zone efficiency has gone way down after Hackett left, and we all know that Hackett was in charge of the red zone stuff in Green Bay. Coincidence? I think not. Got to just connect the dots, guys. Connect the dots. Jets will sign Rodgers, and Belichick will be on the phone to Brady to try to get him back. Dude, I think Brady is already in Vegas. I'm just going to say it. I don't think he would ever go back. And the thing is that them bringing on Bill O'Brien really means that they're going to try to make it work. They're really going to try to make it work with Mac Jones. He was his offensive coordinator at Alabama. He was obviously an offensive coordinator for the Patriots before. It just seems like a marriage made in heaven. But how funny would it be if he went back to New England? Can you imagine? Let me go back to this one. I'll come back to your comment, Kev. Can you imagine Derek Carr? Can you imagine Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady in the same division? The two biggest 12s having to go at it 2 times a year? It'd be insane. Carr's brother, yes, he did. Carr's brother mentioned they will come out with a full Raiders story after the season. How scandalous do you think this story will be? Dude, I think it's going to be a story of something that we shouldn't be surprised. I'm going to look up his name because there's 2 of them, and I want to make sure I get it right. Give me a second, guys. Josh McDaniels. I forgot if his name has the S or doesn't have the S, because it's Mike McDaniel and Josh McDaniels. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Josh McDaniels did exactly what he's doing in Vegas with Denver, right? He came in and he pushed out all of these guys to bring in his guys, and he traded Brandon Marshall because he didn't like Brandon Marshall's, and he did this thing, and he traded this guy away, and he did all this blah, 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 and he systematically drove out the players that he didn't like and that he didn't feel like fit his system because he wanted to run his guys. And so what I think happened is that the ownership group and the general manager wanted Derek Carr. So they went over his head and re-signed Derek Carr. One, to satiate Vegas fans, because I think Vegas fans liked Derek Carr relatively, and because they weren't going to risk the open market because there wasn't anybody that was available for Vegas to go out and get. So they bring in, and he absolutely, because if you look at it, how many games did they lose where they were up 14 points? 14 or more points. Does that sound like a Derek Carr issue, or does that sound like a coaching issue? Because to me, that sounds like a coaching issue. The play calling is bad. They're intentionally, because he still statistically had an excellent season. So did Devontae Adams. Statistically had an excellent season. But it seemed like the coaches were throwing on purpose to get Derek Carr out of there so that they could bring in their guy. I think he wants Tom Brady, and that's what I think he was doing. My fear is getting Rodgers, not winning next year, and Rodgers deciding to retire, leaving us after only one season. Well, look, I get that fear, but if we're the Jets, if you're Aaron Rodgers and you come to the Jets, and let me ask you this, João, if you can put it in the comments, so that I can see it. How many wins next year out of 17 games that we're going to play? How many wins do you think the New York Jets can win with Aaron Rodgers under center? So I'm going to stall a little bit while you type in your answer, because then we're just going to go from that conversation, right? Because it all comes down to the performance of it, right? I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to want to retire if we win a bunch of games and go to the playoffs. Hawk, welcome. Thank you for answering 13. 13-14. You really think that Aaron Rodgers, after a 13-14 win season, going to the playoffs and having a playoff run, is going to just give it up and retire? Why would he? There's no point. Right? He would want to run it back. He has the contract, and he's not going to leave that money on the table, because a lot of his money is signing bonus. And if he retires, the New York Jets can get that money back. He's not going to retire. That's the thing. He'll threaten retirement or whatever like that, but his hands are tied. If he retires, the New York Jets can go to arbitration against Aaron Rodgers, and the player never wins in this situation. Aaron Rodgers, and I agree with all of your guys, Hawk, João, Matthew. Matthew says 20. Jesus, I love it. Billy, it's one of those things. And Hawk with a perfect follow-up comment. I'll come back to your other guys' things. Hawk, if he is healthy, he's going to play. He's not going to leave the money on the table. He's got like $60 or $70 million left in the next 3 to 4 years. He's not going to leave that money on the table. The only reason you would leave that money on the table is if he came to New York and we're an 8-win team. If we're an 8-win team with Aaron Rodgers, even I would retire if I was Aaron Rodgers. And I wouldn't even blame him for it at that point. We messed up. Fire everybody. We messed up. How did you not get more than 8 wins with Aaron Rodgers? So while I understand the thing, you also got to take into consideration that, let's say we do win 13 games, we make it to an AFC championship game, we lose out to the Kansas City Chiefs, damn, and Aaron Rodgers decides to retire. Well, you run it back with Zach. 1 year with Zach, you see what you've got there, and then you see what you're going to do. And at that point, you're only giving up 1 first-round pick, because I'm not going to give you 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. You only get the second first-round pick if Aaron Rodgers comes back and we make the Super Bowl, in my eyes. So while I get your concern, I'm not super concerned about it. Matthew Smith, I do that all the time. Dude, I have to look it up when it comes to this coaches. One, because I love Mike McDaniel, but Mike McDaniel doesn't sound right. It should be Mike McDaniels. There should be an S at the end of it. Where's the S? What did they do with the S? It infuriates me. Hawk, Patriots will trade for Lamar, Brady in Miami, Allen in Buffalo, and Rodgers in New York. Lol, AFC Beast Division. If they could do it, that'd be hilarious. Miami literally doesn't have the money to pay their current roster. So I doubt that they can go out and get a Tom Brady, even though they'd love to. But Allen, already matching up Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers 2 times a year is going to be fantastic. Those games are going to be insane. The knock on Rodgers is he only has 1 Super Bowl. He's not going to get another one with Green Bay. He'll be the Jets' next quarterback. I think the New York Jets, of all of the teams that are out there and interested, are the only team, because you know what the names are for Aaron Rodgers? Like, who's the teams that are interested? Like, the rumored teams that are interested in Aaron Rodgers? The New York Jets, the Washington Commanders, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Of those three teams, who has the best roster right now? I'm just saying. Anybody with eyes would know and would know how to answer that question. I'm just saying. It's insane. Guys, I'm only going to say this one time because I don't like being that guy. There are 24 people in here and only 10 likes. If you're liking the stream and you're going, I was going to do an hour. We're going to keep going because I'm having so much fun. Hit that like button. I really, really appreciate it. Let's keep going. I'm having a blast. Kev Chatta, if the Raiders are that dysfunctional, JD needs to steal some of the Raiders' talent, get Crosby, Waller. Here's the thing. They're dysfunctional on purpose. I don't think that they're going to blow it up. I think that they just want to get Carr out of there. And by they, I mean Josh. That's it. That's the only thing that I think that's happening there. So, guys, quick, I'm going to mention it. I'm not going to mention it for the rest of the stream. If you want to leave a super chat, I know that normally you can just leave a super chat. It's available. I'm not there yet with my YouTube channel. But if you want to do that and if you want to support this stream, I want to get a new camera, I want to get new lights, and I want to upgrade the production that we have here. I can't do that. I am a stay-at-home dad and a full-time student. So if you want to help, you can do that down there. There's merch down there. If you're interested in my merch, ask Harlan. He bought 2 of my mugs, and he loves them. I've got some of my own merch on the way. I'm very, very excited to show that off to you guys. But that's it. I'm not going to bring it up anymore. Boom. Billy SBC, with this talent and this defense to support him, Rodgers may just get 2 more Super Bowls before he retires. Billy, we're on the same wavelength, man. I keep making the joke that Aaron Rodgers should come to the New York Jets for 3 years. I don't think we win the bowl next year. Build up some things. We make a divisional round. Bloom, I'm cool with all of that. Then, next year, he comes in. We add more talent. We keep the team around. We keep doing the stuff that we're doing. JD's still hitting those draft picks in the middle rounds. Everybody gets better. Second year in the system, boom. We win the Super Bowl, boom. We win a back-to-back Super Bowls. He retires off into the sunset. We create a massive package to go get Arch Manning, and we finally bring a Manning to play in Gotham Green in New York. Everything works out beautifully. That's how it would be for me. João, it's because his last 2 MVP seasons, he was the first seed and still talked about it. Yes, but you have to remember the context, João, right? The context was they had just drafted Jordan Love. They had just drafted his replacement. He was already upset because the team didn't believe in him and because the team was already talking about replacing him. And then he goes out and wins an MVP. And then he goes out and does it again. And so when those conversations start happening and then the rumors come out that they didn't want to extend him, they were going to let him play out his last year of his deal so that they could evaluate Jordan Love. Remember, Green Bay isn't innocent in the Aaron Rodgers relationship. They did and made moves to have beef with Aaron Rodgers. It's a two-way street. It's a marriage, right? So I'm just saying. If we win 8 games with Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to retire as a Jets fan. Like, same. I might just go become a San Francisco 49ers fan or might be a Giants fan because I love Dable. Like, I just honestly, for real. If we I'm not even going to talk about it, Hawk. We're moving on. Our O-line is suspect until we prove otherwise on the field. Absolutely, but I also think that we're going to add talent to the offensive line, whether that's in the first round or even if that means we move on from our first-round pick and we go and bring out somebody in free agency. Remember that Aaron Rodgers is only going to be a $15 million cap hit, and Orlando Brown Jr. is out there, and all of these guys are out there. So we can build an insanely good offensive line, whether through the draft or through free agency. So I'm not super worried about that. Oh, skipped some guy. Agree the Jets have to put that in the trade, the picks we trade have to be conditional so that if it's 2 firsts, one in 2023 and 2024, the first in 2024 has to be if he plays. Not just if he plays, some guy. I don't think you've heard my proposed trade, but my proposed trade for Aaron Rodgers is it's this year's first, next year's 4th-round pick, and it's a conditional 4th-round pick. If he doesn't play, you get a 4th-round pick straight up. If he plays, that 4th turns into a 3rd. If he plays and we make the playoffs, that 3rd turns into a 2nd. And if he plays, takes us to the playoffs, and makes it to a Super Bowl, that 2nd turns into a 1st. That's the package that I'd be willing to give up for Aaron Rodgers. Straight up. That's it. Matthew Smith, trade for Adams. No, thank you. I'm not good with that. Adams' contract is going to be way too big, and I don't think we can fit all of that under the cap. If we make it to an AFC championship game and lose with Rodgers, he is coming back for a second year. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. We're going to need a good wide receiver / QB coach to have a balanced attack. Heavy running schemes doesn't work enough to win Super Bowls. Absolutely. And that's why I believe the next hire on the offensive side of the ball that you're going to see from the New York Jets is going to be Clint Kubiak. And he's going to come in to be the pass game coordinator and QB coach for the New York Jets. I think that's a very, very, very good system and thing that you're running, because Clint Kubiak, when he was the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, was able to get Kirk Cousins looking insane, throwing for over 4,000 yards and doing all of those things. Under Nathaniel Hackett, with Clint Kubiak handling the pass game, with Keith Carter handling the run game, we were going to have a super lethal offense. This is why I liked Nathaniel Hackett. It wasn't necessarily just because of Nathaniel Hackett. It was because Nathaniel Hackett's offensive staff that he's going to be able to bring on is going to be elite. And that's the thing. The West Coast system and the Matt LaFleur through, what's his name? Why am I blanking out? Who's the head coach of the LA Rams? Sean McVay. Thank you. Sorry. The staff that he's going to build through that pipeline and through that tree is going to be elite on the offensive side of the ball. And so that's why I totally agree with you. Heavy running schemes don't necessarily work enough to win you a Super Bowl, but Aaron Rodgers helps you win a Super Bowl, right? So Rodgers can come to the Jets and join Brady and Peyton Manning as the only QBs in history to win a Super Bowl with two different teams. Wait, is that true? Oh my God. That is true. That'd be insane. Let's make it happen. Juan, if the Bills let Poyer walk and Rodgers have just $15 million cap hit, we can sign him and make a scary good secondary. You pronounce my Brazilian name really well. Well, here's the thing. I was literally about to ask you this, is because I'm actually Brazilian. So Tigo is actually a nickname, and it's short for Thiago. So I was literally going to ask you that because you have the accent over the A. So I was going to be like, are you Brazilian? But that answers my question. Yeah, and so am I. Cool. That's a cool little tidbit. Can we get Aaron Rodgers? And I didn't talk about your thing because I just talked about your name. So I talk about this in a mock offseason video that hasn't been uploaded yet, was going to be coming out Sunday, but you kind of spoiled it a little bit, where if you trade for Aaron Rodgers, you give Jordan Poyer a 2-year deal. A 2-year, $20 million deal, and boom, you just have a massively good secondary. The other thing that you could probably do, and this is a bit of a stretch, but you can also go raiding and go get Tremaine Edmonds. Imagine bringing Poyer and Tremaine Edmonds. So not only are you elevating the safety room, but you also go and elevate the linebacker room. Forget about bringing back Quincy Williams and Quan Alexander, and I love those guys. But imagine you just bring back, you bring in Jordan Poyer to be your free safety and Tremaine Edmonds to be your linebacker right next to CJ Mosley. Boom. Insane. Imagine that. That's the number one defense in the NFL. We're top 5 with the guys that we have right there, but imagine that. McCarthy clock debacle that ended Cowboy season is exactly a Saleh move. I don't trust Saleh as a head coach. He's a DC and a motivator. I think we have to remember. That he's also learning the jobs and the responsibilities of being a head coach. It's not the same thing as being a coordinator, and the clock management and all of that stuff is a skill set that he has to, trying to manage all of the web pages and stuff, is a skill set that he's going to have to, understand, and it's something that he's learning and that he's getting better at, and he's doing all those things. So I like him a lot as our head coach, and I don't see a problem with him. Yes, he's got some time management issues, but who wouldn't when it's your first time having to deal with the clock and the play calls and all of those things? So he's getting better. Year over year, he gets better. So let's not be ready to crucify a guy after 2 years, especially when we brought a team that was a 2-win team to a 4-win team and a 4-win team to a 7-win team, and we would have had more wins if the offensive coordinator that he had hired, and again, he hired him, didn't fall apart at the end of the season. right? But he had the wherewithal to fire him, right? And bring in somebody else who's going to help out the team. So again, I've seen enough from Saleh to be like, you know what? You've got another 3 years in my book, unless it all falls apart next year. Like if we're an 8-win team next year, fire everybody. But I don't see that happening. So boom. Tigo, that package was on the spot. I agree. Thank you very much. Like that package. Ronald Perry, thank you very much. My package for Rodgers is this: first 2023, fourth in 2023, and third in 2024. That's it. Just straight up, no conditions, no nothing. I don't like the 2 mid-round picks. You can get one or the other. You can get this year's fourth or next year's third, and that's it. I don't want to give up 2 mid-round picks, if that's me. But I get it. I wouldn't be mad if that was a package. Você é brasileiro? Yeah, man. Put some respect on Rodgers, New York Jets fan. Would you consider Rodgers' trade a success if we only get to 2 Super Bowls but not win them? Yeah. Dude, if we get to the playoffs, it's a success. Right? That's the reality of it. But if you get to 2 Super Bowls with the New York Jets and you don't win, winning the Super Bowl is hard. Look how long it took the Rams to get back to the Super Bowl. Look how hard it's been for San Francisco to get back to the Super Bowl. They've been trying everything. Winning the thing is hard. It's not easy. Kansas City has been trying to win it again for a long time. It's a difficult thing to do. And the quarterback has a big, big deal for it. And has a big, big situation for it. So that being said, yeah, absolutely. Ronald Perry, dude, he is 38 and he might only play 1 year. I'm not giving more than that for 1 year of 1 year QB. Yeah, I agree. What's your package for Derek Carr? So let me start by saying this. I would not trade for Derek Carr. I would call Vegas, agree to a trade in principle so that I can talk to Derek Carr. And then I would tell Derek Carr, don't accept a trade. What do you want in free agency from the New York Jets if you come here? Because I don't think, remember this. Here's the thing you got to remember. Derek Carr decides where he goes. And the Las Vegas Raiders aren't going to keep him. February 14th, come hell or high water, he's off their team. So if you're the New York Jets, there is no incentive to give up a pick. You just wait for free agency. And you're the best landing spot. You've already got your offensive coordinator, and then by that point, it would have been for 2 weeks. You have the best weapons, and you have the best system around him. So, if it was me, I wouldn't trade for him. But let's say you don't want to risk it. You want to confirm that Derek Carr is coming to the New York Jets. For me, the highest, the maximum, the biggest thing that I would send to them is a 4th-round pick. 4th round. You want Derek Carr off your books? You don't want to have that cap hit? Fantastic. You're going to take a 4th-round pick. That's it. So, that's my situation. That's how I look at it. Nothing. Exactly. Hawk gets it. Our O-line is good, but had too many injuries. If it stays healthy and we bring in a good vet, it might be top 10. Again, that's a big if, right? Because I agree with your sentiment. We do have a really, really good offensive line when you look at the individual players and their potential. They're incredibly high-level players. It's just a matter of having those guys play together for 17 games. And that's the concern. 38 is the new 33, absolutely. If I got a trade for Carr, I'm not giving up more than a 1/3. See, that's even higher than I was willing to go. He might go to Carolina with Frank Reich. Honestly, Frank Reich went to Carolina to get a rookie quarterback. They are going to trade up to the number 3 spot or the number 1 spot to go get Will Levis. Trust me. They're going to go and get one because Frank Reich wants to screw over the Indianapolis Colts. So they're going to do everything in their power to go up and get their guy. And so that's one thing. Number 2, Carolina does not have the money to pay anybody that's not a rookie quarterback. So they are going to get a rookie quarterback, whether that's waiting at 9 to draft a guy at 9 or going up to 3 or 1 to get in front of the Indianapolis Colts or the Houston Texans to take their guy. Frank Reich was brought to Carolina. Frank Reich was brought to Carolina to coach up a rookie quarterback. And you know what's hilarious? I haven't talked about this, but you know where was the best place for Frank Reich to go ultimately when it came to developing a young QB with all of those things? was the Indianapolis Colts. They fired him for, in my opinion, no reason. And so, like, they were in a perfect position to go and get Will Levis, CJ Stroud, whoever it is that you want at 4, and have the best offensive-minded quarterback teacher in the league outside of Andy Reid do his thing. Like, it's insane. And then they fired him, and now who are they going to hire as their head coach to do all of this thing? Who's going to be their offensive coordinator to train up this young rookie? It's just, I find that very, very comical. I forgot. I'm betting Carr vetoes all trades because of how the Raiders treated him. Exactly. Why are you going to help the team that just screwed you over? Just hit free agency. If the Jets don't sign Carr by February 15th, then you know they have a deal for Rodgers. If they're going to sign Carr, they'll do it immediately. It's like I said, Billy, in the next 2.5 weeks, we will know who the New York Jets starting quarterback is, because either we're going to have a trade that's officially in place with a June 1st designation for Aaron Rodgers, or Derek Carr is going to be in New York. It's one or the other. So in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to know who's under center, and we can stop talking about it. Lol, did you see Matt Ryan this year? Did you see Joe Flacco? Lol, dude, Brady and Rodgers are the only ones at QB. You're not wrong. I don't think Carr wants the smoke in New York, and as long as Rodgers is on the table, I doubt we'll sign Carr before that's off the table. Hawk, here's where I disagree with you. I don't think we wait, because you can't wait. What happens if you wait for Aaron Rodgers and you wait for Aaron Rodgers and you wait for Aaron Rodgers, and February 15th passes and you wait for Aaron Rodgers and you wait for Aaron Rodgers and you keep waiting for Aaron Rodgers, and then the free agency opens and you're still waiting for Aaron Rodgers and you're doing all those things, and then it comes draft day, and now the Green Bay Packers know that you're desperate because every quarterback is off of the table. Now you're going to have to sell your heart and your soul and your half a leg and the moon and 50% of the ownership rights of the New York Jets to go out and get Aaron Rodgers. We know by the middle of February 15th, we know if it's Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, because you don't wait on Rodgers. You tell Green Bay, hey, are we doing this or not? No, I'm going to go get Derek Carr and we're off the table. You use that as leverage. You can't wait for Aaron Rodgers and then ultimately in the end get screwed over. Apart from Rodgers, do you think we will be capable to re-sign Elijah, AVT, Wilson, Salisbury when the time comes? I don't think we're going to be able to re-sign like Elijah, but like I don't see why you can't bring back AVT. Sauce is going to be the best corner in the NFL, so you're definitely going to re-sign him. The Brees situation, we're going to have to see how he looks after the knee. So I don't want to say anything like there, but absolutely, like, the cap is going to go up. The real fear that I have is with Garrett Wilson, right? If Rodgers does come back, if Rodgers does come to New York, the real concern that you're going to have is Garrett Wilson is going to be like a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL next year, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL next year. And with Justin Jefferson looking to try to get $30 million this offseason, I don't know. It's going to be very hard to make that hard sell if you're not on a rookie quarterback to give a wide receiver $30 million. So we'll have to see, because Justin Jefferson is going to reset the wide receiver market, and he should. He is the best wide receiver in football right now. So we're going to have to see what happens there, because that's going to trickle down to with what the New York Jets do with Garrett Wilson. Because either with Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson is going to be a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL for a long time. I don't care what we sell for Rodgers. Lol, let's win a Super Bowl. I get it, but you can't, like, what if it's only for 1 year? That is a reality, right? You can't sell 3 firsts for 1 year of Aaron Rodgers. If we miss on all free agent quarterbacks, run it back with Zach and a new OC and see what that looks like to see if we're drafting another QB next year. Look, I get that sentiment, but that's a failure from management, and they're not going to let that happen because Woody would fire everybody. You have to remember, Woody's impatient. Woody would fire everybody. Like, mid-season, fire everybody. If we start the season 3-3, everybody's fired because you failed to go get Aaron Rodgers, you failed to go get Derek Carr, you failed to bring in anybody in free agency at all. Joe Douglas isn't stupid. He's not going to wait around for Aaron Rodgers. And while Aaron Rodgers is the best option, you don't wait for him. You you force Green Bay's hand and you say, here's what we're willing to trade because we're not waiting. This is what the deal is because Derek Carr is out there and we will feel just as comfortable with him as we do with Aaron Rodgers, and we think we can win a Super Bowl with either one of those guys. So you make the do you want 13 or do you not want it? That's the situation, and that's how you go about it. JD lost all trade talk leverage when they publicly stated that they were going after a vet QB. They also know JD has unofficial playoff mandate. They still have the leverage because there's other quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers isn't the end-all, be-all. There are a lot of quarterbacks that the New York Jets can go out and get. So I don't think we've lost all leverage. Yes. Sorry about that. Yes. There is that situation where they can try to hold out. But, like, again, Aaron Rodgers kind of has ultimate say because he has a no-trade clause. If he wants to go to New York, he can force that. He can force his hand there a little bit, too. Remember that. Jesus, lots of talking. Joel, I feel Sauce may reset the cornerback market as well, depending on how much Surtain gets. We might have to give Sauce a lot. Surtain is going to reset the market, not Sauce, because he gets his deal first. That's the reality of it. Surtain is going to be, he's the number 2 cornerback in the NFL, or if not number 2, he's a top 5. And when he goes to get paid, he's going to get paid. And so he's going to reset the market. We're going to do all of that. Give me 1 second. Let me see if we can get a guest on here. All right, let's see. The problem is, outside of the handful of QBs, Zach is realistically going to beat out a lot of these guys in camp, including Brissett or Minshew. Guaranteed Zach wins the job. I don't know if that's guaranteed. I haven't seen enough from Zach Wilson to see that he's going to guarantee anything. He could win the job. He should win the job. But a lot of that's going to matter on the coaching staff and on the people around him and the things in that situation, right? There's a lot of things that can still go wrong, and I don't know. While, yes, he could compete in camp with Minshew showed me more average level QB ability at the NFL level than Zach has. What Zach has done is he showed me absolutely abysmal quarterback play and flashes of greatness. That's what he's shown us. And if we can consistently get average quarterback play and the flashes of greatness, he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But the problem is that baseline of average QB play, we haven't seen it from him. And I'm still a Zach believer. I got my Zach jersey in there, and I'm not getting rid of it because I still think that he's going to end up being the quarterback for the New York Jets at some point in time. I believe in the kid and his ability, but I don't know if one offseason and one offseason of mental reset is enough to get him ready to really start at the next level. And, yeah, so that's the reality there. And so while you're right, that's why the New York Jets won't wait. If Carr becomes available and he wants to come to New York, they will sign Carr instead of waiting for Aaron Rodgers. So it's like I said, I think 100%, no matter what, the New York Jets will have Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers under center next year. It will be interesting to hear a Denver fan speak about Hackett. Word is he lost the locker room early on. Yeah. The story in Denver is coming out and getting more interesting because you're starting to see more things come out about the failures of of Denver as a whole that are not just on Nathaniel Hackett. And when you keep hearing good things coming out of the previous teams and the previous players that worked under Hackett, I'm more inclined to listen to players that played in Jacksonville talking good about Nathaniel Hackett and players in Green Bay talking good about Nathaniel Hackett than his one stop at Denver that we know is dysfunctional from the top down. Right? So there's that. And again, offensive coordinator and head coach are two different jobs entirely. He's not going to have to deal with 53 men. He's going to have to deal with like 25 guys. That's it. In practice, Zach's athletic ability is going to make a guy like Minshew or Brissett look mid. I'm not saying that translates to the game the same, but it's going to be a tough decision made in camp. It's going to come to who's making the easy throws more often, because you're not going to risk the big athletic ability throws if he can't hit the 5-yard out route. It's a give and take. Like, I don't disagree with you, Hawk. I love Zach. I just don't think he beats those guys at camp, purely on the bias that the coaching staff and everyone's going to have on that front. So, always going to remember Hackett deal happened same day Reich signed as head coach. Reich is probably only head coach that could have developed Zach. I don't think that's true. Again, Zach's development is going to come. Like, it's not an offensive coordinator's job to develop a quarterback entirely, right? Like, yes, that's part of your responsibility, but whoever you bring in as a quarterback's coach and the staff around it and the play calling, and there's a lot more to developing a quarterback. And we have no idea if Frank Reich would 100% have done it. Frank Reich was never going to be the offensive coordinator for the Jets. The moment the Los Angeles Chargers fired their offensive coordinator, the moment they fired Lombardi, that became the destination if he didn't get the job in Carolina. If he didn't get the head coaching job in Carolina, he was going to the Chargers. Why would you, as Frank Reich, one of the best offensive minds, pass up the opportunity to coach Justin Herbert? He was never in the running for the New York Jets. So, boom. If Jets get Rodgers, do you think they add Allen Lazard to replace Corey Davis? I think it's an option. I absolutely think it's an option. But I don't think it's to replace Corey Davis. I think it might be to replace Braxton Berrios. I think Corey Davis is off this team, but we can also save a bunch of money if we cut Braxton Berrios. And so with Denzel Mims expected to take a big jump to wide receiver 3, Allen Lazard could come in to be wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, and to get more familiarity in the room. I absolutely think that's a possibility. But as long as we have Denzel Mims on the team and Braxton Berrios, I feel it hard to see the New York Jets going out and getting a really big type of wide receiver that would command anything more than $2 or $3 million. Now, if Braxton Berrios is gone, that frees up cap space. Now you can go out and get a $10 million wide receiver like Allen Lazard. But yeah, I think it's a possibility. Joel, the Jets are any QB's favorite destination. Biggest market, great defense, and good weapons. Yeah, absolutely. C, new coaching staff, no bias. I think Hackett is the perfect personality to develop Zach and to restore his confidence. Yes, but in one offseason and in one minicamp, you're not going to get that. And remember that while Hackett is the offensive coordinator, Robert Saleh is the head coach, and he could overrule Hackett and be like, look, I love what you're doing, but the kid still needs to sit, right? And he needs to sit, and he still needs to develop. We're running Minshew. But again, it's a different conversation. But I do think that Hackett has the ability to build a scheme that'll work around Zach's abilities if, worst case scenario, we're in that situation. Who's the backup QB if JD gets Rodgers or Carr? I hope it's still White. Mike White's not on the team next year if we get... Mike White's not on the team next year unless we miss out on all of the big names. Like, if we bring in Gardner Minshew, then it's going to be Gardner Minshew, Mike White, and Zach Wilson all competing for the job. That's just the reality of the situation. But if we bring in Aaron Rodgers, Mike White doesn't come back. He's just going to be too expensive. And Zach Wilson's the backup. Zach Wilson is going to be the backup. No matter what. He's going to be QB2 next year, no matter what. And then you probably just run Streveler as QB3 just because he's signed to a practice squad deal already. And then there's other guys out there that you can look at with low-level hopes. So, yeah. What about D-Hop? That contract frightens the crap out of me. D-Hop, while is available, that contract is not friendly to a team that is trading for him. And so it's hard to see the New York Jets going out and trading for a 30-year-old plus wide receiver with 2 years left on his deal with a projected $30-ish million cap hit. And because his contract isn't written in a way that would help us out, we would be kind of on the hook for like 20-ish million of that contract. So it's an interesting conversation to have, but it's also the reason why like Devontae Adams is out of the question, right? Like, let's say we traded for Derek Carr, but we wanted to make the package to be like Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. You couldn't do it, like, just objectively, because like Yes, he's a $15 million hit this year, but he's a $25 million cap hit after that, and then a $45 million cap hit. It's just kind of risky to do it. I'm not against it or anything like that. If we get put in that situation and we go out and get those guys, man, I'd love it. I'd love it. Let's do this. You know what? Let's have some fun. Let's end the stream doing this. Bum bum bum. Boom. Guys, brace yourself for your eyes. Okay, I was able to make it dark. Give me a second. Nope. Haha, beautiful. Now you guys get to see the command center. Ooh, Counter-Strike. Boom. Let's do a mock draft. What do you guys think about that? Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Think that works. Right? Somebody say something. Somebody type something in chat real quick for me. Haha, beautiful. We are going to move the chat box over my head. We're going to move the chat box up here. And we're going to do a mock draft, guys. We're going to do a full 7-round mock draft for the New York Jets. Fantastic. You guys should be able to see everything. All of the picks, all that stuff. Fantastic. We're going to start this draft. We're going to go relatively quickly. Thank you, everybody, for saying something. And we're just doing the Jets picks. We're doing all of the Jets picks. Here's this offseason, right? Actually, let's do this. Oh, crap. Brace your eyes, guys. I'm sorry. It's all white. It's bright. I'm so sorry. We're going to trade. Where are they? With the Green Bay Packers. They're going to get 13 and a third for Aaron Rodgers. Let's just... We'll give them everything next year. Okay, cool. You know what? I can just force the trade. Force this trade. Okay. We no longer have the 13th pick. We went with my trade. We've traded a first this year and a fourth next year. It's a conditional fourth for Aaron Rodgers. Okay? We've also gone and done free agency. We've brought back Connor McGovern in this mock offseason. Okay, boom. And we've signed Alan Lazard. We've cut Braxton Berrios and Corey Davis. We've re-signed, we've brought in Alan Lazard, and we've brought in a free agent tackle. Whether that's a big name tackle or not, we've brought in a free agent tackle. That's our offseason right now. Cool? Cool. Let's start this draft. It's going. We're going to wait for the New York Jets pick, and then let's review. Let's see what everyone did. Let's see how everybody fell. Boom. We're here at 43. Let's see what happened. Jalen Carter went first overall. Absolutely should happen. Will Levis is, I love this quarterback, and I fear this quarterback. Will Anderson. This Bryce Young, I'm not a fan of it. I would have gone C.J. Stroud. Anthony Richardson to the Raiders. Oh, super. C.J. Stroud to the Falcons. Interesting. Brian Branch. Very, very interesting. So if we would have stuck at 13, right? If we would have stuck at 13, we would have been able to get the only player that I think is worth drafting at 13, Peter Skoronski. So that's good to know. But the Green Bay Packers went with Paris Johnson, and then the Patriots got Peter Skoronski, and then at 15 they went and got Michael Mayer. Very, very interesting. Not replacing the quarterback that they just lost, but I see that. Anton Harrison to the Steelers. I like that pick. Christian Gonzalez. This is such a good pick. He's my number one corner right now. I love Cam Smith too. Ravens adding Bijan Robinson. That's very good for them. Jordan Addison to the Giants is a perfect fit. I love this. Broderick Jones at 27. What a fall. Wow, that's incredible. Andre Carter in the first round. I like seeing that. Saiki Ika. This is such a good pick. He might slide into the first round as the things go on. Anybody else of interest? Tanner Mackey to the Panthers. That's fun. Darnell Wright, I liked him a lot. And then Nathaniel Dell. So the Jets are at 43, right? And I think we've got to start. We've fixed the offensive line, theoretically. We brought back McGovern. We brought in a free agent offensive lineman to help with the depth there at tackle. So we fixed our offensive line. And while I'd love this pick to be a center of the future, I think that's too high of a center of the future. We didn't bring in what some guys said, Jordan Poyer, which is, I would have loved to bring in Jordan Poyer instead of a tackle, but I think you got to bring in the tackle, right? So there's that. And so we've got to, I think you got to draft either a linebacker or a safety here. Give up what? These picks 13? You can't give up 13 in next year's fourth for Aaron Rodgers? I think that's a mistake. So let's see what we're doing here. Drew Sanders is available out of Arkansas. This would be a very, very, very fun and good pick. He is my number 2 linebacker in this class. I love Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. Very, 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 very good here. Jack Campbell, I also love me some Jack Campbell. J.L. Skinner is fantastic. John Michael Schmitz, I love this guy. Sidney Brown is very, very good too. And then there's not very many other players that I want here. Now, if this is me, and I know a lot of people aren't going to love this pick, but if it's me, I'm looking at Mazi Smith. Mazi Smith here, right now, is the perfect pick. We're going to lose out some of our interior defensive linemen. Our interior defensive linemen are thin right now, and Rankins is going to cost a pretty penny. So that means that we lose Nathan Shepard, that we might lose some of these other guys. So while Drew Sanders is here, I have faith in the guys that we have. I think the pick here is Mazi Smith. So that's the pick that I'm going to do. Also, taking into account the cap hits the other years. Remember, we have the most cap space as of right now in 2024. Right? So that matters. All right. So we took Mazi Smith, our interior defensive lineman, because that's the weakest position in this draft is the interior of the defensive line. So we had to take Mazi because he's really, really that good. Now we can still address the defensive side of the ball here, and I kind of sneaked it a little bit. Jordan Battle out of Alabama is available here at 74. Absolutely fantastic pickup here. And this is where I'm leaning. DeMarvion Overshown is here available as well. Jerome saying that. Very, very interesting. Blake Freeland, if we wanted to get a developmental tackle, kind of like the what we did with Max Mitchell. Very, very high upside right here with Blake Freeland. I like that a lot. DeJuan Jones, interesting. Byron Young out of Tennessee is also very interesting. Luke Whippler. Nick Herbig. Fun fact, this is Nate Herbig's brother. He came into college as a tight end, I believe, and then was transitioned into an edge rusher at the next level. Very, very interesting. For me, I don't see how you don't get the safety here. Right? You have to get the safety. Safety, like you need a safety or a linebacker at this position, and safety's the weaker room. You're going to lose, what's his name? Oh my gosh, he's going to retire. Oh my God, I blanked out. Oh my gosh. What's his name? The safety that's about to retire. That's absolutely abysmal. That we hate. Joyner, thank you. Joyner, thank you so much, some guy. Tony Adams and Whitehead, they are here. But Tony Adams is an undrafted free agent. And who is there to back up Tony Adams right now? Ashton Davis? I don't know if I trust that. In the linebacker room, we can bring back Quan Alexander. We can bring back Quincy Williams. We have Hamza Nasruddin. We have Jamien Sherwood. I like those guys. And while DeMarvion Overshown would be a great addition, I think you can't pass up on a guy that was slated to be a second-round pick last year, especially here in the third round. And you're absolutely right, Kev Chatta. The draft is less fun when you don't have 3 first-round picks. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to take Jordan Battle. I think that's the smartest move. We got more picks, and we can get the linebacker here, right? We can go and get those guys here. So let's see who's available here. Ooh, Byron Young. I love Byron Young. Love me some Byron Young. Colby Wooden is an interesting edge if we wanted to get more depth there. Marvin Mims is a very interesting guy here. Ooh, Cedric Van Pran, but he went back to school. Ooh, Olusegun. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys this question here. We can get Cam Jones out of Indiana and address the linebacker room here. Or, and this is just me asking, I really like Olusegun Oluwatimi. He is definitely going to be a depth guy, but he has the potential to be a center at the next level and could be the heir apparent to Connor McGovern. Do you wait and hope that he is available at 145, or do you just take him now and get a later round linebacker? Because I'm leading on taking Olusegun now. Because I really, really like him. I like him over Joe Tippmann. And this is a good prospect out of Wisconsin, but I really, really like him. Okay, some guy, if we are waiting, who are we taking? Who do you think you take here? Do you just take Cam Jones? Take the linebacker? Take Jones? We got 1 vote for Jones. What does everybody else think? I'd wait the linebacker. All right, I'm going to follow you guys. If he's not there, I'm mad. I'm mad at you guys specifically. We're going to take Cam Jones at pick 112. Let's see. Don't go Michigan. Oh, no, he went. Oh, he went to the freaking Texans. Oh, that sucks. That sucks big time. Jarrett Patterson is here. He could play center. See, if CJ goes down, I've seen enough from Jamien Sherwood to trust Jamien Sherwood. I like Jamien Sherwood. I get the Cam Jones pick. Don't get me wrong. That being said, I looked it up, by the way. The Olusegun Oluwatimi. That's not me just guessing it. I had to look it up because I really, really liked him after watching his tape. So I looked it up, and that's exactly how he says it. That's why I say it with the accent. It's because I watched him say it like 6 times. Very, very cool. Israel Abanikanda is going to be super interesting at the next level. I have a friend who's a Pitt fan, so all he talks is about Pitt football, and he loves him. I think the pick here is Jarrett Patterson. He has center ability. He can play at guard. He could be your Dan Feeney replacement. Let's see if there's anybody else. Ooh, Rashad Torrance. Henry To'oTo'o? Oh, man. See? We should have taken the Michigan guy. Because I didn't see that To'oTo'o was on the board. Oh, man. Oh, man. Now the question comes, do you take Jarrett Patterson or do you take To'oTo'o? Do we double up on linebacker again? Oh, you have to get the replacement, right? And there's no way To'oTo'o makes it to 179. But I love Henry and his skill set, especially with what he would add to the Jets. He's the perfect Quan Alexander replacement. Like the perfect Quan Alexander replacement. I also love Rashad Torrance. If we didn't take Jordan Battle earlier in the draft, this would be the pick 100%. But man. Oh, guys, I need you to help me here. Am I taking Henry To'oTo'o or am I taking Jarrett Patterson? Ivan Pace Jr., very, very interesting. There's no one else really that like super screams out as someone that I'm super interesting. Definitely need to add another offensive line in this draft. You like a certain player or can't wait. Patterson, that's 2 Patterson votes. I'll go another linebacker, but we spent the money, right? We couldn't bring in Jordan Poyer. We spent that money on an offensive tackle. So we couldn't get Poyer, and we brought back Connor McGovern. So there's your Jordan Poyer money. So we had to get a safety because I think Tony Adams is good enough to start at the next level, and I think he's going to be good. I'm going to take Jordan Patterson. Man, that sucked. Missing out on the Michigan center when Tuotuo was available, and I like Tuotuo. I didn't even think about looking that more than I like Cam Jones. That sucked. I think you got to take Tyler Lacey here, right? Just take the best edge. I haven't gone this far down in the... Ooh, Ricky Stromberg, very, very interesting, but we just took Jarrett Patterson here. Schoonmaker is going to be a good tight end at the next level. Who's your baseball team? That should answer that question. Muhammad Diabete, he's okay. I think got to take the edge here, right? We're going to lose Carr Lawson. That's going to improve and promote Jermaine Johnson, and there's going to bring those guys to the table, right? So you got to fill out the edge. You probably just take Tyler Lacey here, and then you don't look back. What do we think? What do you think we should do here? Braden Mann is not it. But I'm not necessarily super comfortable with drafting a punter, not in this year's class, but like, it's one of those things where like, if you're going to draft a punter, it's the last pick. It's the last pick. But there are punters that are available in free agency. There's always going to be guys that are undrafted. I don't necessarily see us wasting a pick if there isn't a super, super legit punting prospect, which unfortunately there isn't one. Another suffering Mets fans, welcome. Absolutely. Lol, I've heard that most Jets fans and Mets fans are the same people. Yep. Yeah, they are. It's the part of New York, right? So, guys, back. Pick 179. What are we thinking here? We think we go edge? Do you want to go somewhere else? Do you want to get a special teamer? Do we want to, what's the idea here? What are we thinking? Let me know. Ricky Stromberg is still available. I love me some Ricky Stromberg. Jets, Yankees, Hawk. Ooh. See, here's the thing, right? I was never into basketball growing up, so I'm not a Knicks fan. Like, I'll support the Knicks, but actually, let me get this. Damn, my jersey's in the other room. I keep all my jerseys here except for this one. I'm actually a Dallas Mavericks fan, and it's not because I like the Mavericks. It's actually just because I like Luka Doncic, because I love soccer, and my European soccer team is Real Madrid, and when he played for Real Madrid in his youth, I watched him. So I don't necessarily care about basketball, but I'm also really funny because I'm a Maple Leafs fan. I'm a diehard Maple Leafs fan. And I love the Rangers except for when they play against the Leafs, but I also love the Florida Panthers unless they play against the Leafs. But that's my sports team. Juan, what about wide receiver depth? We could get a wide receiver here, a special teams wide receiver. Ronnie Bell is a very interesting wide receiver. He's definitely going to be a special teamer at the next level. The real question is, do any of these teams that are going to pick ahead of the Jets, do they take one of these edges? Because if we take a wide receiver here, I'm going to take an edge with the next pick, right? And do you look at wide receiver depth as something that we need? Remember, in this fake, really quick offseason, we cut Braxton Berrios and Corey Davis, but we replaced them by elevating Denzel Mims, and we brought in Alan Lazard. So is Tyler Lacey and Ali Gay, are they going to be available at 185? Or is one of these wide receivers going to be I think Ronnie Bell makes it personally. Oh, but the gap. Ooh, makes a lot of sense. You might take Ronnie Bell because there's more edges at this part of the board. Do we just get the special teamer? Are we trying to replace Jeff Smith here? Is that what's happening, Juwan? Do you just hate Jeff Smith and you want him off the team, so you're trying to replace him with Ronnie Bell? Is that what's happening? Be honest. Might go DB2, get another corner. Who, the Jets get another corner? With Bryce Hall still on the team, and Brandon Echols, and Sauce, and Michael Carter, and all those guys, and we're going to keep Hardy. Or is this DB supposed to be a Hardy replacement? Do you go Darius Rush and replace, or do you do both? Do you say screw it, take DJ Turner here out of Michigan, and then hope that his teammate Ronnie Bell makes it there too? Ooh, I like that. What are we thinking? What do we take? DJ Turner to replace? I just said his name. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh my God, I'm bad. Why do you guys watch me? This is not good. Oh my God. Justin Hardy, Jesus. I don't know why you guys watch me. I didn't take a running back this year because we got 2 running backs last year in Breece Hall and Bam Knight. So that fills our quota. Actually, we got 3 running backs last year. We got Breece Hall, Bam Knight, and James Robinson, who all are going to be back on the team next year, not also withholding the fact that Ty Johnson is going to be back and that and the fact that Michael Carter is going to be back. So I don't think we need a running back. And we'll just get an undrafted free agent and bring him in, and he'll be spectacular because that's what the Jets do apparently now. Pick 13 could net us a bunch of picks trading down multiple times. All our needs would be filled. In this offseason, we filled all of our needs. We've got the safety that can come in and can immediately start. We still have the linebacker room that's incredibly lethal. Our offensive line is fixed. We've got the interior defensive line depth that we need. We're about to get an edge depth. Okay, I got it. I think Tyler Lacey is the pick here, and if DJ Turner is available at 185, you take him. That's what I would do. That's what I'm going to do. Tyler Lacey here. Ooh, DJ Turner didn't make it, but that's fine. We just take Darius Rush, end the draft there. Boom. We've literally addressed every need on the team right now. Let this run out. Let's see what happens here. And then we'll evaluate. We'll end the stream, and we'll see what happens there. Do you think MC was hurt this year? He was markedly bad compared to previous year. I think Mike LaFleur was bad with his offensive line management, and that's what led to Michael Carter's down year. I think he's going to have a resurgence, especially with our new offensive line / run game coordinator and Nathaniel Hackett. He fits what they want to do perfectly. So I think he's going to have a massive, massive jump back. Okay, guys, remember we traded for Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the draft. We gave up this year's first-round pick and next year's fourth-round pick for Aaron Rodgers. So we went in without a first-round pick this year. And so we started the draft by getting, what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Jesus Christ. Why do you guys watch me? It makes no sense. Quinnen Williams. We got Quinnen Williams, not his Robin, because that's what Sheldon Rankins is. We got him, his Alfred, in Mazzie Smith. I really, really like Mazzie Smith. The value of Mazzie Smith at the 43 pick is incredible. There's really only 2 or 3 interior defensive linemen in this draft that are worth anything, and we got a really, really good one in the second round. Boom. We follow that up by honestly getting someone who's going to push for the starting job at safety in Jordan Battle. We follow that up by getting more depth at the linebacker room with Cam Jones. Jarrett Patterson, guard out of North Carolina, is coming in to replace the Dan Feeney role. I don't know if he's going to be able to chug beers the way Dan Feeney does, but Jarrett Patterson gives us depth and a pipeline at the center position and gives us the ability to go in the right direction in the future so that we don't have to worry about, Connor McGovern and his length and longevity here. And he can play both guard and center at a relatively high level. Great developmental. And then in the round 6, we'd get Tyler Lacey and Darius Rush, 2 guys that are just going to come in, fill out the back half of the roster. Hopefully Darius Rush can come in and replace Justin Hardy. And we go. And Kev Chatta, I'm going to speed through it, okay? Okay? I'm going to do another one. 7 rounds. Jets. I'm going to do a Derek Carr offseason, but I'm going to speed through this. I'm not even going to ask questions. I will, but where's the law? I keep looking. I was looking for Oakland. Dead ass. All right. So we have the first round pick. I agree with you, Hawk, by the way. Would you have signed Kumar Rodgers? Who? Who are you talking about, Kev Chatta? I don't know who that is. Need you to be very specific. Let's look at what happened while Kev Chatta gets that going on. Like I said, top of the draft, went very, very Bryce Young back, boom, boom, boom. C.J. Stroud instead of Anthony Richardson, Anthony Miles Murphy, Brian Branch, Paris Johnson. This is a mistake. Skoronski's here. You sprint. Oh, sorry. I don't follow the Mets 100% like that. Like, baseball is such a... I care about baseball towards playoffs and towards the end of the season. I don't have the heart or the mental capacities to care about 152 games. Sorry. I'm a very, very, very passive Mets fan. Like, super passive. My two sports that I really, really care about are hockey and football, and then soccer. But, like, you guys don't... Most Americans don't care about soccer, so I don't really mention it. But, like, those are the sports that I care about, where I follow all the news, and I care about the prospects and the players, and that's it. You get Peter Skoronski here, right? You have to. He's the best player. He fixed our offensive line. This is exactly what I want at 13. I'm not even going to wait for you guys to say anything. I'm taking Peter Skoronski here. He's the guy, right? Like, boom. At 43. Okay, remember, in this offseason, yes, I do. It's Cruzeiro. Give me a sec. There's that. As proof, my Cruzeiro jersey. Boom. More proof. I have a white jersey too. I like white jerseys. I prefer them. It's my Real Madrid jersey. Well, one of my old ones. I don't fit into that anymore. I'm fat now. It's my Leafs jersey. Boom. And then boom, here are all my Jets jerseys. Got them all on the couch because I wear them. This is the Zach Wilson jersey. Got to flip this one inside out. This is my Zach Wilson jersey. Boom. I love this jersey. I'm happy I was able to use it this year again. But I got my Geno Smith jersey. Love that jersey. Happy for Geno. But I had to get his jersey in white this year. No doubt about it. My favorite jersey in my collection right now. Gots to love the Sauce white jersey. Ooh, I love me a white jersey. And then I've also got my local hockey team's jersey back there, the Solar Bears. I got a bunch of jerseys. I love me some jersey collections. Back to the draft, guys. I got to go to sleep. I got to wake up in like 7 hours with the baby. Santos, got it. I take another of the top 3 offensive tackles at 43, safety or linebacker or a center. The top 3, obviously, offensive tackles aren't here. They're all gone. I would take a center here, but again, I don't know in this offseason, did we bring in a center or not? Somebody tell me right now. Did we bring in a center, or is center open and available? Because if it's open and available, I'm taking John Michael Schmitz. I'm sprinting this to the podium. Yeah, the Mets do suck, man. No, they don't. Don't talk crap about my team. If we didn't sign a center, I'm sprinting to the podium and taking John Michael Schmitz. I love him. He's a perfect scheme fit for us. If not, Mazzie Smith is still available here. I love me some Mazzie Smith. I would take him. If not, and you really want to replace C.J. Mosley, and you're really concerned about that, I love me some Jack Campbell here as well. J.L. Skinner is here. Remember, we're a lot more hamstrung with the cap situation if we get Derek Carr, because Derek Carr is going to cost us a lot more money. Derek Carr is going to be closer to $35 million, right? So we don't have as much money in free agency. So we're going to have to address more things in the draft. So if we just sign McGovern, like, what did we give up? Are we not getting a safety? Are we not getting a linebacker? These are questions that we need to ask, right, in that situation. For me, I still don't see how you pass up on Mazzie Smith here. While I agree, I think you just bring back McGovern, I don't see how you can pass up on Mazzie Smith here. In an ideal world and in a perfect world, you want Saiki Ika to make it all the way here because he's the guy. He's the guy. But Mazzie Smith, I would run Mazzie Smith here again. But you know what? Let's go a different way just to have some differentiation so we don't just have the same draft over and over and over again. I'm not going to take... Chad Muma was much better in coverage, where Jack Campbell is so much better downhill than Chad Muma is. But Jack Campbell will become this year's Jack Campbell will become this year's Chad Muma. The only problem is that more and more people like Jack Campbell. So Jack Campbell is going to solidify himself as a second-round pick. And so the guys that you're really going to see that are going to probably become the Chad Muma of last year are going to be the guys like Noah Sewell, DeMarvin Overshone, Owen Papau. Dom C loves him some Owen Papau. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Henry Tuotuo. He loves some Henry. I love some Henry Tuotuo. So that's my thing. Linebacker early doesn't make sense because there's a lot of guys that we can get linebacker late. The only team right now that's offering anything to the Jets for the 43rd pick are the Indianapolis Colts. So you're right, Kev. Is there a guy with Drew Sanders off the board because I would have taken Drew Sanders? Why too much focus on the O-line? Would much rather bring in a veteran and sure thing. I would rather hit on another safety, etc. Yes, but there isn't a surefire thing at safety this year. While I love me, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna just so I can get their names right. I love me some Antonio Johnson, and I love what's his name, Brian Branch. There is a good to fair chance that one Brian Branch isn't available at 13, and if he is, I still think it's too high for him. Personally. And the offensive line, DeCat, the reason you focus on the offensive line so much is because of the fact that we have too many massive question marks at the offensive line. And so you weren't here earlier, DeCat, but welcome. One of the things that I was saying is like, why do you take Peter Skoronski at 13 here? Well, because he's the one guy of these offensive tackles that will be available at 13 that can play all 5 positions. Because while Peter Skoronski won't grade higher at the left tackle position than Mekhi Becton or Elijah Vera Tucker, you know what Peter Skoronski can do? He can play right guard. He can play center. He can play anywhere on the offensive line. He gives you the flexibility to truly play your best 5 offensive linemen. So Peter Skoronski coming to the team allows us to go Mekhi Becton at left tackle, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, insert whatever center you want here, whether it's John Michael Schmitz, whether it's Connor McGovern, whatever. Peter Skoronski at right guard and Elijah Vera Tucker at right tackle, and that's a top 10 offensive line unit in the NFL. Straight up. But Kev Chata is absolutely right. If the top 3 offensive tackles are off the board, you trade back. For me, it's Skoronski or bust. If Skoronski isn't available at 13, you trade back. And I'm saying out of the first round. You try to trade with the Houston Texans, with the Tennessee Titans, with somebody who doesn't have a pick on the first, like the Carolina Panthers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Colts. You try to trade with one of those guys who's their pick is going to be high next year, and you get next year's first for them to come and get 13. That's how I would handle it if it was me. I would try to trade with one of those teams. But in this situation, okay, we're back. We're at 43. We're going to go a different way. We're going to do a different thing. Let's just get J.L. Skinner. We're going to upgrade our safety room. I love me some J.L. Skinner. He's great. We re-signed Connor McGovern in this fake Derek Carr offseason. Boom, J.L. Skinner. We can get a developmental safety later on in the draft. Boom. We're here at 74. And DeMarvin Overshone is here. Jordan Battle is here. Jair Brown is here. I love Isaiah Foskey. Oh, man, this might be the pick, honestly. I love me some Isaiah Foskey. Noah Sewell is available here. Ooh. Do we get the linebacker? Do we get Noah Sewell? What do you guys think? What do you think here? We've taken the safety. We've taken the offensive tackle. Do you want to get yourself the DeMarvin Overshone or the Noah Sewell? Do you want to go and get yourself Isaiah Foskey and solidify the edge. Remember, we're probably going to cut Carl Lawson, and Vinny Curry's probably going to retire. So that's going to leave us real thin at edge. So we probably want to bring in somebody sooner rather than later. What are we thinking here? I know people are worried about this linebacker room. I'm not. I feel confident in it. I love me some Isaiah Foskey here. I don't think we need to trade down out of the first round. We can trade down a few spots for a QB needy team. Kev, the reason I would trade out of the first entirely is, one, this draft is really, really, really good in the middle rounds. In rounds 2 to 5 are where we're going to see the best players in this draft, not the top not in the first round. This draft is so bottom heavy, like it's insane. There's one guy that's truly elite, and that's it. Everyone else is kind of just a little bit better than a Jag, right? That's really it. And the one guy that's elite is Jalen Carter. That's it. But there's a bunch of guys, like good guys. And so that's my thing. And because remember, last year we took 3 first-round picks. That's gonna build up and get us in the draft. Juwan, while I appreciate that, I'm gonna take Isaiah Foskey here because I think we need the edge, and getting another high-level edge. I love this kid out of Notre Dame. I think he has a lot of potential, and I think we can get a linebacker in the later parts of the draft. I think we can get a really, really good one at 112 and really solidify that room. Let's see what's available at 112. Boom, we're back here. Cam Jones is here. You know, same thing that we did before. Henry 2020, probably still on the board. Owen Popo is here on the board. You know, a lot of linebackers are still here, like good linebackers. We don't need a rush with the linebacker pick. Right? Henry 2020 is still on the board. Ivan Pace is still on the board. Owen Popo, Cam Jones. There's a lot of guys still on the board. You got to go with best player available. Remember, you don't draft for need. You draft best player available at a position that's kind of a need. So, let's have that conversation. Let's see are there any centers on the board? Is there anybody here that we like? Oh my God. I missed out on him. Henry 2020 is still out there. You gotta get a replacement at center. Oh, absolutely. I think Jalen Carter, some guy, is so by far and away the best player in this draft. It's not even close. Not even close. Jalen Carter's not gonna go number 1 overall because of a quarterback. Because of the quarterback bias and because of the edge bias. Jalen Carter is the best player in this draft. He is the only player that I've given a superstar rating to, a almost bust-proof rating to in this draft. While Will Anderson is very good, he is not better than Jalen Carter at his position. Will Anderson will be a very good edge. Jalen Carter should, depending on the team that he goes to and the supporting cast around him, should immediately jump into the Quinnen Williams conversation and those guys because he's that good. Not only is he a run-stuffing monster who could just eat up blocks and just hold guys in place and not let guys get to the second level, but he also has an incredible pass rush skill set. Last year's Georgia defense that had 4 Georgia defensemen go in the first round, he was better than all of those guys. And Trayvon Walker went number 1 overall. So yes, I'm taking Olusegun Oluwatimi here. I love this guy. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite centers in the draft here. I'm going to take him. I have to. I'm sorry. We can get a linebacker in the next pick. I promise. And I'm trying to speed this up. We're at 2 hours. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you, Kev. And boom. Peyton Wilson. Henry 2020. Right there. Right? Right there. Boom. There's our linebacker. I love me some 2020. He was going to be a second-round pick last year and went back to school and Alabama sucked. So his draft stock plummeted. Because Alabama sucked. Same thing happened with Jordan Battle. I'm so good with that. Right? Oh, I'm good. Then we got 2 more picks. What are we thinking here? We took an edge, right? Pretty sure we took an edge. Took 2020. Yeah, we took Foskey. We took an edge. What are we thinking, guys? What are we thinking here? Took a safety. Want to take a wide receiver? Want to take Ronnie Bell? Get some special teamers here. It's a good pick. We already got the safety, but I love me some Ricky Stromberg. A lot of good tight ends in this draft too, like guys who could be tight ends. Nothing screaming out at me. Honestly, might go wide receiver here. Ronnie Bell. Think that makes a lot of sense. Get some wide receiver depth. Can't just ignore the offensive side of the ball. And then last position, why the hell not? Draft a punter. Ethan Evans. Welcome to the New York Jets Wingate. I don't know who that is, but let's do it. And that wraps up the Derek Carr simulated draft. Even though I wasn't supposed to do this, let's wait for the draft to end. Let's see what we walk away with. And then I want some grades. What do we think of both drafts? Are you okay with this team on either side? And then we're going to end the stream. Grading your draft. We start off, obviously, before the thing with a Derek Carr trade. We send a 4th-round pick for Derek Carr. Blah, blah, blah. Fantastic. And then in the first round at number 13, our guy is there, Peter Skoronski. We sprint to the podium because that's exactly what we need. Follow that up in the second round by replacing the safety of the future and someone coming in to compete with Tony Adams and J.L. Skinner out of Boise State. We replace Carl Lawson and Vinny Curry in the back end of our edge room by going and getting Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame. Get the backup for Connor McGovern and a potential starter at the offensive line in Olusegun Oluwatimi with the great names. And then Henry To'oTo'o in the 5th round. I love this pick. Honestly, Henry To'oTo'o might become my Alex Rodriguez. I loved Alex Rodriguez last year. And all of that stuff. So love that. And then we end the draft with a punter. What do we think? All of that stuff. Let me know. Kev Chatta, you think Saleh cuts or trades Uzama or Conklin and make Ruckert tight end too? Absolutely not. Tight end, one, because Nathaniel Hackett is known for using his tight ends very well. He does it much better than Mike LaFleur did, and we could see that at all of his stops. So they're going to see... we're going to see a lot more of our tight ends. And as much as I love Jeremy Ruckert, Kev Chatta, and I do love me some Ruckert, he was always the plan for 2024, not 2023. So there's that. Let's go back to this view. Let's close this out. Guys, let me pull this back so that I can see you. Guys, thank you so much for coming by. Thanks so much for hanging out. We've been live for 2 hours. Jesus, I was supposed to come on for an hour. Absolutely love you. 132 of you stopped by to hang out for some point in time. Guys, if you enjoyed this stream and you want to support the channel, hit the like button. We're going to be going live every Friday at 10 o'clock. This slot is open. So we're going to talk about a new topic every Friday. Today was Aaron Rodgers. Next week, I'm probably going to be talking about Derek Carr and nothing but Derek Carr, unless a trade happens or whatever it is. We don't know what we're going to be talking about on Friday. But Friday nights, come hang out with Talking Jets with Tigo. Guys, on the way out, hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We are so close to 2,000 subscribers. Any help? We are literally a little bit over 100 subscribers away. I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, there's a bunch of ways to do that. Check those links in the description. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to sleep. I got a newborn. Well, not newborn. He's not newborn anymore. He's a 7th-month-old. I got a 7th-month-old that's going to be waking me up, screaming because he wants his bottle in about 6 or 7 hours. And I still got some homework that I got to do. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for being a part of the stream. And last but not least, and never forget, go